Hey guys, Rock here with another World of Warplanes video. This time we'll be doing a video guide review and gameplay of the Hawker Hurricane IID, the Tier 5 British premium plane awarded for completing the September month-long mission. It's not available through any other way right now, but who knows, it may be in the future. So far, the Hurricane seems to have gotten a somewhat undeserved reputation for being a terrible plane, but I think it might be just because people don't understand how... No, I'm kidding. It's a pretty bad plane. But when you take a fighter and you sling huge guns on it, it takes away all its advantages as a fighter. And especially since it's one potentially great attribute, the firepower of these huge cannons at Tier 5 has been nerfed into pretty much pointlessness in this patch. It doesn't really have anything that makes up for the drag and the weight of those huge cannon under the wing. And while it's tricky, and by that I mean it's a total pain in the ass to fly, it is still possible to be successful in a plane if it's played carefully. So let's get into go about doing it then. Historically, the Hurricane was a 1930s design that was mostly outclassed pretty early on in the war, and definitely by the time the 2D variant was introduced in 1942. Seeing as how they were nearly obsolete and they were looking for other ways to use the Hurricanes. Some were converted into night fighters, and another variant, the 2D, was created by mounting two Vickers S 40mm cannon underneath in underwing pods, with some additional armor added to the pilot, engine, and the radiator too. Operationally, it was fairly effective in the anti-tank or anti-vehicular role against almost anything but the Tiger. And although the heavy Hurricane's weight made it a nice steady gun platform, it was more accurate than rockets, it was still not very well protected and it was very vulnerable to damage from AA and ground fire. The number 6 Squadron RAF in North Africa accounted for 148 tanks damaged, 47 of which were destroyed, about another 200 vehicles during the North African campaign, but they also suffered considerable losses. About the class for this plane, it's a little bit weird. Like a lot of premiums, the 2D is kind of an oddball and doesn't really fit in its category well. It's classed as a light fighter because it's on a light fighter chassis, I guess, but it's really not much of a fighter at all. There's also no British attack line to train pilots for either right now, so it does make some sense to class it as a fighter so at least players can train fighter pilots in it. This could also mean that a full Hurricane line may be coming to at some point too, but who knows. I like to refer to it actually as a medium fighter just because it doesn't really fit any other niche really. As far as flight performance characteristics, overall it has modest speed and altitude and pretty poor maneuverability. It's very, very heavy for its tier as a fighter. It's a slow climber and even a slow diver despite its extreme weight for a fighter because its aerodynamics were so bad and there's just so much additional drag from those cannon pods. The 40mm Vickers S cannon weighed 320 pounds each unloaded and carried somewhere around 60 or 80 pounds of ammo for each one in the wings. And the wings really feel like it too. It's very sluggish. It's a slow roller, a slow turner, and can't out-turn much but maybe heavies and GAs. And with a 1200 meter optimum altitude performance, so that's about 3,600 feet or so, it's toward the lower side of average for its tier. It can really only outrun, outturn, or outclimb, or outdive a few things, and it can't really dodge or evade anything very well. Even though it's a fighter, it thus doesn't really fit either the boom and zoom or turn and burn styles very well. As far as armament performance characteristics, the two 40mm cannons are pretty disappointing. They have a slow rate of fire, a low muzzle velocity, poor accuracy, bad dispersion, and in the current damage mechanics in 1.5.1, a really disappointingly poor damage too, even when they do connect, since cannons have been nerfed to reduce insta-get kills and make for longer battles. It's difficult to score hits, and damage is poor for 40mm too, when you do hit considering all the various trade-offs it's made. The overheat time is also very fast at about 7 seconds in a sustained burst, and with a long cooldown time of about 17 seconds. The effective range for the 40mm is about 450 meters, but the closer the better, and the max range isn't even too much further than that from what I can tell. The secondary armament is two 303 machine guns, and they're fairly toothless. Historically, they were used primarily as spotting guns for the 40mm cannon, in the sense that you start the machine gun, walk the tracers onto the target, and then once you're hitting the target with the machine guns, you open up with the cannon. For comparison, the Spit 1, which is also at Tier 5, gets 8 of those same 303 machine guns in its stock configuration. So overall for firepower, the 40mm are tough to hit with, and the 303s don't help much, and you're going to have trouble finishing off kills. And just to illustrate some of what I've been talking about, I'm going to try to engage these small ships here and see what we can do. You can see I'm just not doing a lot. I got one there on the first pass with 40mm cannons, and that's a complete overheat. Coming around again, that's an AR-65 here. I was doing this in training room, so I put a bot on the other side. Okay, finally get another one. Well, it's another. Guns are still not in cooldown, or still cooling down rather. So I'm going to get off and get a little more distance, give myself a little more time on target here. You notice this is not an armored target either. Those are not red boxes. Here, there, final 3 passings to finish this off target. It's pretty frustrating with 2 40mm cannons or 5. So now I'm going to finish off my training room bot here, except watch this. He is in optimum and he's not dying. That's right, 40mm cannon shells. It just gets pretty annoying sometimes. So let's go to the hangar here and talk loadouts. For modules, it's a premium plane, fully upgraded, so you can't really change anything. I do recommend you add a sight to try to help out those 40mm, whatever little you can. For the other ones, reinforced covering and aircraft polish are kind of optional, but they aren't going to make enough of a difference to fix this plane's problems. For the 40mm, I actually prefer incendiary. The premium HE and HEI ammo is most effective at range because it still holds its energy, it doesn't lose energy, and it still detonates. But with the cannon, it's hard to get hits anything but close range, where the HE is actually less effective for balance purposes. So I do like the incendiary better, and also with a slow rate of fire cannon, it actually has a greater chance of setting things on fire because the chance is actually computed over time. For consumables, the pneumatic restarter and fire extinguisher always. The other one, you can run what you'd like. I prefer to run gas, but if you wanted to, you could run an aid kit or even another fire extinguisher if you really wanted to. So, enough messing around, let's fight a battle. Notice this one is going to be a tier 6 battle, so it's going to be even more of a headache than usual. On the plus side, there are lots of ILs down there, which are some of your favorite targets in a Hurricane 2D. They can be some nice hit point sponges, and they can't actually outturn you, which is convenient sometimes when you need it.
Good hunting.
As far as overall play it like a medium fighter, a teamwork fighter. Hunt heavies in GA and use your teammates. Stay with the main effort. Boost and gain altitude at the start. Usually want to get up to kind of just above or just at the top of your range, and then cut your throttle down some to help cool your boost faster. And it also helps you want to not be in the front. You just don't have the capability to be up there, and if you get focused, you will die. You also are going to need your teammates to clear and cover you as well, and to finish the targets that you wind up not finishing so they don't flip around and kill you. This kind of sucks because you effectively wind up donating XP and credits away to your teammates like that in a premium plane where half the point is earning the bonus on those, but it's necessary because you just can't evade, and if you get in a swarm, you're going to die, and then you can't do anything for your team. As far as target priority, usually you want to go heavies first, especially medium altitude ones that tend to come in, lowish, like bow fighters and Blenheims who are trying to bomb or rocket targets or something at the beginning, and then kind of targets of opportunity, and then ground attack aircraft. In this case, we didn't get much over here, so I'm going to go ahead and take the opportunity to dive on these ILs and clean them up. It's a little bit annoying here because we have a light fighter trying to do the same thing, which is getting abused by the tail gun on that IL-2. And there's another one. Came down and flew right through me from behind. Good job, buddy. So looking around, trying to find another target, still not seeing much that's going to be real juicy, and again, I don't want to get away from the main effort of the team or leave myself out vulnerable, so I'm going to stay back here and pick on these ILs some more. If somebody's got to do it, it might as well be me and my big 40mm. So notice I'm missing a lot. When I connect, I can take a nice chunk of damage, but it's kind of tough. Sorry about that, man.
You've hit a friendly aircraft.
So I'm in overheat. I'm going to break off a little bit, get a little standoff, stay away from the tail gunner, and cool my guns down a little. The tip, if you get frustrated that your guns are missing, if you can take short bursts, like just momentary click bursts, they don't take as much off the reheat. And not only that, but there tends to be reduced dispersion. In these long bursts is when the dispersion increases the most.
The weapons have overheated. Rate of fire is
So yeah, that's frustrating. Just couldn't finish him. I did most of the damage on him, but somebody else got the kill. IL-2T over there. My flight mates are still fine, so I'm just going to, again, stay on this one. Help defend our supremacy points a little. And put in my damage where I can. See, I don't usually shoot my teammates.
fire is reduced.
And finally, I get a kill.
First enemy.
That was a good one too, 25 points for a ground attack aircraft. Now I'm going to come up and see if I can get some altitude up here and see if my teammates need any help. And there is, that's another one of my favorite targets, a heavy. One of not too many things that I can actually maneuver on pretty easily. And see, that incendiary ammo just sets things on fire pretty readily. He is walking away from me here. With a 410 off my left wing, he's being a pretty good buddy actually. If you're on somebody's tail together with a teammate, just don't make any sudden movements so you don't collide. He does a pretty good job of it there. Yeah, still couldn't finish him. I'm throwing the kitchen sink at this guy. Yay, another kill. Furball. And again, it's tough to get the damage in, but when you connect, you can usually get some pretty good chunks off. It's just you're going to have a hard time derping somebody like you could have in previous versions of the game. So my flight mate has dove away from this guy here, my P-51A. I'm not going to be able to get up to that altitude. I'm already near Starlight, so I'm going to break off here and see what other kind of trouble I can get myself in. There's somebody else here down low. Lesser spit snack. He's already down to about half health. Let's see if I can help him out here.
Target hit. Enemy aircraft on fire.
And fire again. And there we go, fire kill. I'm telling you, that incendiary is key in the Hurricane. One last enemy left. Let's see, he's above me here. Ooh, way above me, 1,000 meters. See, look, I just, once somebody dives on me, you can't evade. I just can't do much. So I died there. But fortunately, I put in some good effort for the team before I left. And I've already got 4 kills and 75 supremacy points, so that's a big help. That's making the difference right here between winning and losing, basically. And I'm not exactly sure what this guy was doing. I think I wasn't paying very close attention here during this point in the battle because I was already dead, couldn't contribute much anymore. And one of my flight mates was dead and the other close to it, so.
Way to go! We're about to win!
Now he's going to shoot at, oh great, shoot at a teammate. Good job. So there we go, we won that one. I got 4 kills and most kills on the team and no supremacy points on either team. Don't try and tell me it's impossible to do well with 2D. So there we go. Overall, it's just not really a good plane. It's definitely not a carry plane and more of a teamwork plane than anything. Its 40mm are especially disappointing, and the slow rate of fire, low muzzle velocity, and poor accuracy make it really hard to score hits, and the damage when you do manage a hit is usually a letdown. While they do decent damage when they actually connect, I found they had a lot of trouble finishing kills with only the 2 303s backing it up. So if you leave your team around to protect you and help finish those kills, this essentially means you're going to wind up donating a lot of these kills and thus their XP and credits to your teammates. I wonder what this thing would have been like on the pre-1.5 damage mechanics when you could still get crit kills tearing off wings and tails, and when the ground targets only had one big hitbox. This probably would have been close to amazing. Most premium planes are strong in some characteristic and another further tier, but have an Achilles heel of some sort to balance it, and leave the mainline plane still predominant. This one, however, is all heel, and its best characteristic is probably that it was basically free. Now, while it's possible to be successful in the Hurricane 2D for now, unless you really feel like a challenge, it's probably best to leave this one in the hangar until the next patch. There is an overall gunnery improvement rumored for 1.6 coming soon TM, which might help some. Additionally, I'd expect a buff of some kind for this one, since the purpose of the giveaways is to incentivize people to play. If they get a reputation for giving up crummy planes, it's not going to have the desired effect. So there you have it for this time. Guys, leave a comment below if you have a question or a suggestion. Like the video if you liked it, disliked it if you disliked it. Thanks for watching, and good hunting.